Hi guys, Dave here with you. Thanks for joining us today. We really do appreciate you taking your time to spend it here with us. So it's football season and we like to watch a little football. We grew up in the Tampa Bay area, so we're Bucs fans. And to celebrate that, we're going to make something that we used to eat in Tampa all the time. Tampa has a very large Cuban population. One of the favorite things we used to eat was Cuban sandwiches. Pressed, crispy, got all the good ingredients in them. So that's what I want to make today for the gang so that we can have them while we watch the Bucs. Let's talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. On a Cuban sandwich, it's Cuban bread, sliced ham, sliced Swiss cheese, mustard, dill pickles, and pork. All put together and toasted, kind of like a grilled cheese. Now in the Cuban sandwich shops, they have a press that they press it with, and it makes it really thin and just really crispy. We're going to do the best we can with what we've got by using a press by hand. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a Mojito style sauce for some pork to kind of simmer in at first, get some good citrus flavors into it. So to make that mojo seasoning, we start out with some orange juice, just regular orange juice. We're going to put a little bit of lime juice in it, about that much. We're going to put oranges with the peel on them and some lemon slices with the peel on. Let that get going, and we'll give that a quick stir. Get everything covered. The reason I'm putting the slices in there is because I want some of the oils from the peels to get into that. All right, let's spice that up a little bit. We're going to take a little bit of cumin, some coriander, some oregano, and a little bit of white pepper, but not much white pepper. And then we'll give that a stir. We're also going to make some black beans to go with our Cuban sandwiches, so we can get that started. This has been warming up some. We're just going to take some butter, coat the bottom of the pan. And we're going to start out with some finely diced onions, some finely diced green peppers. Let that start to soften. The next thing we're going to add to the beans is some chicken bouillon, maybe about a half a teaspoon, and a little bit of minced garlic, about a quarter teaspoon. We'll give that a stir. Yeah, they're starting to soften up already. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some seasonings in with the vegetables before we put our black beans in there. I'm actually going to turn this off. That got pretty hot. We can put a little bit of liquid in there so that it will receive the spices properly. And before we do that, we're going to stir up the Mojito seasoning. And I want to pour some liquid in there too, because I got to have enough to cover some pork. Let that get back up to temperature. Let's put some spices in our bean mixture. We're going to start out with some dry cilantro, probably a good quarter teaspoon of that. Some cumin, again a quarter teaspoon of that, or however much that was. We don't want any white pepper, but we do want oregano. Not to overpower, and we're going to stir it up. Now the last thing I'm going to put in here is a little bit of Goya adobo. The reason I'm going to do that is this is kind of an all-purpose seasoning, but it's got the first ingredient is salt. I don't want to use too much, but it's got some other ingredients. It's just delicious. If you haven't tried adobo, I really recommend you try it. But I don't want to get carried away because, like I say, it's a lot of salt, and that's all I'm going to use right there. All right. So now we're going to turn off the high heat. We're going to add some beans. Black beans. They're so delicious. We're going to stir those around, get them back over on the fire. Little pot holder here. Stir that around. There's really not much more to it than that. Just the black beans and some seasonings, and just let that simmer for a while. Get it over here. This burner's off, so we're just gonna let it live right there for a few minutes while we get back to our sauce for just a moment. Yeah, she's heating up nicely. Looking good. The way I'm doing this pork is I've got some pork loins that I cut into pieces about that big, about that thick, about that big. And we're going to pound it to make them real thin. As you can see, I've already pounded some, but we'll just see who we playing today. So we now have a pretty thin piece of pork loin. I'm going to remove the citrus to make room for the pork. All right, the citrus is removed. So let's start to simmer our pork. But this was pork I got at Sam's, and you get the big long packages. It's a full pork loin. Actually, it's 2 in a pack. Very economical. I mean, you can get like one that's that big and that big around for like $14. And I just bring it home. I take the fat and the silver skin off of it and cut it into like 1.5 inch pieces. They're really great for pork medallions. Very good lean cut of meat. So let's stir our pork up a little bit and make sure that it's absorbing all those good citrus flavors. Yes, it is. It is cooking. The temp on that is 135. Yeah, 130. It'll come up a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is check our beans real quick. They should be doing fine. They've been off the main heat. Oh yeah, they're looking good. Oh yeah. Let's check our temperature on our simmering sauce. Yeah, 155, 156, 157. The next thing we're going to do is take the pork out of the marinade that it's been simmering in. It's done. It should be nice and moist, but let's let it come out and cool down for just a moment, because I do want to slice it up, but I'm going to let it cool down for just a minute. So let's take it out. The next thing we're going to do is slice the pork up into pieces that are suitable for putting on a sandwich. I'm going to kind of find a little grain in it, and it's kind of running this way. So I do want to cut across the grain. Just like that. At this point, let's make sure we didn't do anything wrong. Delicious. Wow. You know, guys, these are good on tacos too. You can slice that up a little finer, or even shred it. Let's get ready to make some Cubans. The press I'm going to use to press these is just your standard bacon press. You kind of let them heat up a little bit. I'm going to take and cut the end off. They press better with this end taken off. And then I'm going to kind of measure it about from here to here. is a good size for a Cuban sandwich, so like that. Let's see how many I can get out of this. Probably get 4. And then what we're going to do is cut them lengthways. Step 1, cheese. Good quality Swiss cheese. And I had them cut this thick. You can see, I don't know if you can see how thick that is, but this is a thick cut. And I like to put the cheese on both sides of the bread because it kind of holds everything together while you're cooking it. Step 2, ham. Let's get some ham on there. Again, this is thick cut. Black Forest ham from the deli. Step 3, yellow mustard. Just plain yellow mustard. Now, you put your pickles. And don't get and think you're going to save some time and buy those pickle slices that are about that thick. I like to use hamburger dill chips because they're crispier. You get more of the outside edge and less of that real soft center, and I want that pickle to actually have a little crunch to it. So try to find the thickest ones you can, and you'll be happy with the results. And the last part is going to be our pork. On top of the pickles. Look how easily that tears apart. That is going to be so good. That's the basic makings of a Cuban sandwich. The next step is to spread some butter. Not too much, or they'll just be soggy. Check our temp. $460. A little hotter than what I wanted. Let's check this over here. Yeah, 380. That's more like it. I had that up on high to heat these up, and I'm going to cook these over here. Take that off for a minute. Put that lid right there. Spread some butter down. The thing about these sandwiches, guys, is you want to cook them on about 350 at first to let them compress and let everything melt and meld together. But then you want to get them to a pretty high temperature to really crisp them up. Butter side down. Can't wait. Put a little butter on the other side. So we'll start the pressing process. 427 there. 304 over there. I think we're going to move them over a little bit. Like I said, too, let the bread and the ingredients cook and melt. I don't want to press too hard, too fast. All right, they've been on that side for a minute or so. Let's flip them over and see how they're looking. And you can see that this side has really compressed quite a bit, and the other side has not yet. Just gently press them. Gently press. Gently press. Give that a moment. Check our temps. 371, 368, 352, 230, 285. Okay. Nothing wrong with moving them around a little bit. Yes, sirree. You hear that? Crispy. Gently pressing them, because I can see whether or not that cheese is all the way melted here, which it has not. Let's get this one over in a little more heat. It's one of those things where you just keep an eye on it. Use your best judgment. Get them over here in the heat a little more. Okay, 400, 375, 377. Coming along. They'll melt up real nicely. You do want to flip them pretty frequently, though. That is getting nice. I can smell that ham and mustard. Ham juice oozing out, and mustard juice oozing out, and burning on that griddle, and it smells wonderful. Look at that goodness. I'd say that cheese is melting just right over here on this higher temperature. The bread's looking real toasty. Got a real crispy sound to it. Cook our beans one last time, give them a stir. Oh, they smell wonderful. Wow. Oh, they smell good. I think we're on our last flip. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Nice and crispy, crunchy. Now you always cut these on a bias. Oh, can you hear that crunch? That is exactly what a Cuban sandwich is supposed to look like. Let's get you a close up over here. You can see how that's melted. You can see how it got real thin and how crunchy that crust is. That's exactly what a good Cuban sandwich, at least the ones I remember from Tampa, is supposed to look like. All right, guys. Hey, let's give this Cuban sandwich a taste and see how we did. There aren't words. There's no words I can use to say how good that is. Guys, crispy. The butter just got in this like nobody's business, made it super crispy. That pork, it's light. The mojo is there. You can, the pork's got flavor, but pork is so tender from being simmered and braised in that citrus flavor. Pickles are nice and crunchy. The The Swiss cheese, there's plenty of it because it's on both sides, and the ham is nice thick cut. It's got that sweetness of the ham coming out. Man, this is good. You make these guys, you're gonna be a hit. I'm telling you. All right, let's try our beans. Go Bucks. Oh, well that goes good with that. Let's try our beans. Yep. Wow. From not stirring them too much, the beans didn't fall apart. And that's one of the problems I have with making a lot of beans. A lot of times people make beans and they just feel like they got to stir the heck out of them, and they just crumble and they fall apart, and you get bean gravy instead of beans. So these beans are whole. The finely chopped, finely diced onions and green peppers means that the flavor is there, and they kind of almost dissolved in there, so you get that real flavor without taking a bite of an onion and a bite of a green pepper. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they're just, the flavor's there, but the texture is the beans, and then the other spices, that adobo, all the other spices you put in there, wonderful. Oh yeah. Guys, you gotta make this. This is good stuff. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time to see how I make Cuban sandwiches. I hope your team wins unless they're playing Bucks. And again, thanks. Please give us a comment, give us a like, hit the bell so that you can see when we post another video. And as always, just thank you. And hey, tune in again. We'll just see what's next with Dave.